Reverend Sonia to the podium to share her wonderful words of life this day. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living, in the beautiful Golden Triangle of Kingston, Jamaica. And the welcome is also extended to those persons who are listening on the, Reverend John, World Wide Web. Okay. Now, I must say first, it's such a refreshing pleasure to share the platform with Reverend and Shand. Truth is a gem that is found at great depth, while on the surface of the world, all things are weighed by the false scale of custom. And this is a quote that I found on the web coming from Forbes magazine, and it is attributed to Lord Byron. Truth is a gem that is found at a great depth, while on the surface of the world, all things are weighed by the false scale of custom. There are many customs which we have, and they're all beautiful, and they all have their purpose. But it is important that the customs do not become so ritualized that they are empty and we forget to look beneath them to find the significance for our own lives. Today is an important day in the Christian calendar. It is Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday is when we recognize the time when Jesus is said to have ridden a donkey, or they call it an ass in the Bible, into the city of Jerusalem to begin what we now know as the last phase of his ministry before the crucifixion. It is so important that all four Gospels give an account of that day, and the accounts are uncharacteristically very similar. Some of you may have realized that the Gospels do not slavishly follow the same pattern. They vary in detail. The essence is there. Jesus was about to meet the biggest challenge in his short life. And I cannot help but wonder, and this is the first time I'm doing this, what was going on in his mind as he rode through the streets? What was the human in him feeling? Did he know what was to meet him? If he knew, how did he feel? Yes, as he heard the acclamation and he realized the expectations of him, did he know that they would not be met in the way that was expected? I sometimes wonder if he had second thoughts. Did he ever consider turning back? What if he had? Would anyone know his name today? Jesus was resolute, determined, focused, definite, and single-minded, even as the loud cheers of the crowd must have told him that the people who were cheering him on thought that he had come to be a mighty, triumphant king who would lead them out of years of oppression and tyranny. And this is a tyranny to which the Jewish people had been subjected. Recently, I was to witness two events, and I always like to use what is happening around me. Yes, I like the historical lessons, but my mind is always open to learn from things that are happening around me. And I could not help but see some of that same focus, resoluteness, definiteness, and single-mindedness in these two events, as I have come to know and to imagine that Jesus would have shown. One was an event that apparently was anticipated by many Jamaicans, which I just happened by chance to turn into, and that was the, what is it called again? The quiz show between Campion College and Kingston College. Schools Challenge, you see? Schools Challenge quiz. No, if you were watching it, you would have realized that for the entire time of the show, Kingston College was behind. And it was only when the last bell was about to ring that they spat out a word, which I didn't even hear because it was so fast. And they won. Only focus, calm, definiteness could have caused this to happen. Then yesterday I decided to give myself a treat. And I was invited to the stadium, and I went to watch the UTEC Classic. And it was okay, but one race stood out for the entire crowd. It was a relay race, a 400-meter relay race. And no, you said Calabar, but the crowd was not looking at Calabar. What happened was that a school, and I don't know the school, but somebody from a school dropped the baton. And it was about the JC, oh yes, thank you, Carmen, JC Foster. GC Foster, sorry. And you know my age. No, not that I'm forgetting, but they were a recent school. So when they finally grabbed at it several times and picked up the baton, I said, well, this man is going to come out. When we were more than a quarter of the track around, the 400-meter track, this gentleman just ran and ran and ran. And every time another person took the baton, they were closer and closer until in the end, they almost won that race. And everybody was cheering. They probably thought they were cheering for Calabar, but everybody was cheering for that nothing short of a miraculous experience. Focus, steadfastness, right? Resoluteness. The lesson for us is that whatever we ourselves undertake metaphysically, we must be as steadfast and as focused as these people had been. And the result is sure to be what we expect it to be. No, definitely. Life is not without its challenges. I just described 3 challenges that people have had. From time to time, our challenges come. How we feel or how we respond might vary, but the challenges do come. Our teaching does not immunize us from periods when life appears, and I say appears to throw us a curveball, so to speak. As a matter of fact, we know that life doesn't throw us anything that we did not send out ourselves. In fact, our experiences in life are like a boomerang. Our beliefs and expectations return to us with equal force and precision as that with which it was sent out. No matter what we may be going through, we can face it if we know and believe. And I heard a little song, just a little part of a song. It was coming on the radio, which I thought was so appropriate. I'm not going to sing it because I don't remember the tune. It says, "There is no shadow without the light." Did you know that? That's a fact. There is no valley without a hill. No rift without a rise. No. The one that really impressed me was that geologists actually welcome earth tremors. Did you know that? They welcome earth tremors. We don't have to ask why, do we? Right? I'm not going to give you a geology lesson. Life rewards boldness, what some call risks, others call opportunity. And therefore, I like to affirm, and I share it with you, my every thought, act, and purpose are guided by divine wisdom. When I feel a little shaky, or even before I feel shaky, because I prefer to be all prayed up, preventive medicine, right? I say this, and I'm going to ask you to repeat it, but I'm going to say it first. My every thought, act, and purpose are guided by divine wisdom. My every thought, act, and purpose are guided by divine wisdom. And I'm getting all of this information when I think I need it most. Buddhist advice. Got a problem? Admit it. Face it. Pray about it. Deal with it. Let it go. A Buddhist advice. I didn't realize this was a part of a formal Buddhist sect, how they deal with life. Admit it. Face it. Pray about it. Deal with it. Let it go. Friends, if there's something going on in your life that you're feeling is too tough to handle, are you struggling with an issue that just won't go away? Is there that which seems to keep on repeating itself in your life? Is there some issue that is frustrating you? Is there a goal that just seems to be just outside of your reach, constantly outside of your grasp? Are you torn by opposing thoughts about what path to take or what action to pursue? Is the forceful advice of well-meaning friends and family drowning out your own gut feelings about what to do with your life? Have we unwittingly become the proverbial people pleasers? Yes, there is such a thing. Whatever the situation, the remedy lies within us and must be pursued with firm, calm, single-minded, determined resolve. We must set out to enter into Jerusalem. The literal journey that Jesus is said to have taken is the symbolic inner journey which each of us are taking consciously or otherwise. It is a journey with all the ups and downs, twists and turns, flashes of understanding and occasional dark places, but it is a journey always towards the light of spiritual unfoldment and attainment. And we can take comfort in the valleys. From Psalm 30, verse 5, weeping may lodge for the night, but shouts of joy cometh in the morning. The Metaphysical Bible Dictionary explains this. Truth is first conceived in the heart of man, of which Jerusalem is a symbol. It represents a love center of consciousness. Jesus' journey to Jerusalem symbolizes the final step of giving up resistance to letting go of the tendencies, the ego tendencies of humanness to which so often we are attached. In this new state, it holds whatever we hold on to that is no longer useful will be dissipated, and the Christ consciousness or divine mind will become established. It is constantly urging, prompting us to find its rightful place in our conscious awareness. Our religious science declaration of principles has 14 firmly stated beliefs. The 10th one states, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through the spiritual nature, right? I'm paraphrasing, and that any person may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. Basically saying, we can't escape it. We are all growing and growing, whether consciously or not. Joel Goldsmith, and I thank my friend Sonia Brown for this quote, which she shared with me so enthusiastically. It's from The Real Infinite Way. It's a bit long, but it's worth listening to. It is really sad if an infinite way student does not catch this point, that there is an inner grace, a meat thy world knows not of, a hidden manner. Knowing this, we can always go within, wait for the assurance, and then go about our business. Let it go. Knowing that something is going before you to make the crooked places straight. Nobody in the world has ever been born without the hidden manna. Nobody, because God incorporates itself in man as man. Therefore, the only function of religion, get this, should be to acquaint you with that fact, and to help you raise up or release that spirit, that imprisoned splendor. Unquote, and I quote again, once touched by the Spirit, I know that there is something within me that did the work. Everything necessary to my experience always appeared, even in time to correct my mistakes. I invite you, if you have not given yourself that treat, to buy a book, any book, from this illumined writer and mystic, Joel Goldsmith. Friends, it is time, and Goldsmith urges us to, that the world stop making an exception of Jesus, the great way shower and example, the master teacher, the guru of all gurus, and the great metaphysician. To continue to do so is an insult to the infinite creator and to Jesus himself, who taught us otherwise. Amen? Every errant belief which is cancelled, every light of understanding of who we are in God, takes us one step forward towards enlightenment and a higher stage of consciousness. We can walk in faith And we can walk by sight of enlightened acceptance of truth. The truth which knows that it is done unto us as we believe. As we contemplate and affirm the nature of God within us, and as us, remember, and as us, our belief strengthens and our experience of God expands. We are moving consciously, deliberately, intentionally through stages of consciousness. And I also invite you to read an excerpt which you can find on the internet from John Randolph Price's book, Super Beings, which is his idea of the different stages of consciousness that we journey through. I promise you, you will recognize yourself at many of the stages, and it will urge you on. We can choose to use the will to fix our minds and intentions on our spiritual growth. We may drown out the media, which distracts us into glorifying the demonstrations we have made by reminding ourselves, not I, but the Father in me doeth the work. In doing so, we will be constantly strengthening our understanding and expanding our awareness to know with every breath we take. We may know this, from whence cometh our good. Jesus was not in any way distracted by the shouting and the loud acclamations of Hosanna. You see, that ass, which Jesus, that's a donkey, please, which Jesus rode into Jerusalem, is symbolic of humility, according to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, but also a stubborn persistence and endurance, a never give up attribute for the long haul of the spiritual path. Jesus remained focused, determined, resolute, and dedicated to his objective. Remember that. It has been said that if you depend on the hosannas, the praises of others, you will be equally crushed by their criticism or disappointed when their praises fail to come. Jesus paid no attention to neither praise nor condemnation. He took his lead from within. In fact, instead, the first important task that Jesus did after arriving in Jerusalem, tell me. It made him quite unpopular with the hierarchy of the temple. He went into it, yes, and disrupted the selling and the bartering which they were taking place in the temple, right? And he did not mince words. He was no wimp. He saw how distracted the people had become from the real purpose of life, and he was bold enough to mention it, more than mention it. Friends, if we, and I speak for myself, have been studying the science of mind for years, or even months, and are still stuck on the glamour of demonstrating things, we need to rethink how we are using this God-given gift of choice. Things are a convenience and even a necessity for this earthly plane, but there is a higher purpose for our incarnation. And therefore, we use that power of choice to keep our minds stayed on that which will expedite our growth. It came from Jesus' mouth to our ears in Matthew 4:4. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. We can have both. Make a resolve to daily claim the kingdom of heaven, which Jesus has placed squarely within us. Dr. Ernest Holmes and Dr. Raymond Barker's daily inspiration reading, published in Richer Living, gives us some insight, and it's on February 4 for those of you who want to read the whole thing. The victorious attitude is one that recognizes the unlimited power of God. It reads, without this awareness, no one can be victorious over the negatives of life. Those who live without spiritual vision and understanding are forever trying to solve their problems by manipulating their human minds and exerting their human wills. This exhausts them, frustrates them, and gives them no peace. The recognition of God as cause and as creative power of this world brings victory to the soul, unquote. And so in that same February 4th, I found 3 beautiful affirmations. I have faith that inner Christ is now victorious over all challenges I may face. And I'm going to say it again. I have faith that the inner Christ, I have faith that inner Christ is now victorious over all the challenges I may face. Over all the challenges I may face. And the next, I have faith that within me is the presence of God as pure mind. I have faith that within me is the presence of God as pure mind. And the third, I have faith that within me, I will read it again. I have faith that within me, as in all people, is the presence of God as love. I have faith that within me, as in all people, is the presence of God as love. So, we are told in Matthew 21, verses 14 to 16, the blind and the lame came to Jesus in the temple. This is after he had thrown out, what he should have thrown out of the temple. And he healed them. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were sore displeased and said unto him, Hearest thou what they say? And Jesus said unto them, Yea, have you never heard? Out of the mouth of babes and suckling, thou hast perfected praise. And guess what he did? He just left them and went to the city in Bethany and lodged there. He didn't get caught up in any arguments with them. He never had to defend himself, right? And so if we're thinking that we ourselves have cast out some of the things in our minds that shouldn't be there, and the mind is now open and receptive, ready to be able to make demonstrations in our lives, sometimes we may think, it's a buck up what you're going on with, right? Or there is that other aspect of our mind that thinks, this may not happen again, or we doubt. If any doubt comes in our minds, and if we have been firmly affirmative, no doubt will come. But a time will come when no doubt will come. But if it comes, then our only denial is to recognize the truth of the innocence, that child consciousness within us, which is pure, intuitive, and has complete faith and acceptance. Anything you tell a child, they believe it, right? So I'm discovering, right? And then what you do, as Jesus said, he left, then you release and let go. He did not turn back. He did not fight or resist. He accepted the facts that there was some condition, but he accepted it as not the truth, but a fact. Looked past the fact, penetrated, and saw the truth and the purity. So he saw the condition, just as the bullets say, he faced the fact, he looked past, he dealt with it, and he rode away to keep his appointment with Christhood. So I say to us, we must do the same thing. And that is why I'm giving you the title of my talk at the end, Ride On into the Light, my friends. Ride on.